All right, hello and welcome. How is everyone doing today? I was just telling Jeff I am coming in so under the wire this week, and oh my goodness, my my stream deck that I used to do the transitions is come apart right next to me. I wish I could show you guys this, but I can't. Um, ah, the faceplate.
That didn't sound good.
Yeah, so I need to put some fresh tape on it, like it's a double-sided tape. And so Bird of
Wow.
Prey 5 gave this to me a couple of years ago, and I never got around to fixing it. Sorry, bear with me, everyone. And I finally got around to fixing it like a month ago, just in time for the Babylon 5 stream. 2 months, wow, 2 months ago now. Just
Yes,
in
it
time for
has.
this. And
Almost 2.5.
we are just going to gently set that down there, and I will worry about that in another 3 years.
That sounds like you.
It does, right? Oh, wow.
Does.
Yeah, so they don't design these things to be worked on. Like it's very much a just buy more of our stuff sort of thing. And yeah, so once you pry the top off, it's just double-sided tape. Like maybe it's copper in color. I don't know if it's actually copper in functionality. But once you take it off, it doesn't really like going back on. So I have this 3D print, so it's not flat. It's angled so I can actually see what I'm doing on it. And yeah, it pops off in there. And apparently it
That's
gave
great.
I pushed the
Broken
button and my
tech.
finger went straight through the faceplate. And it just kept going. I'm like, okay, that kind of day. Jeff, how you doing today?
I'm a little tired, but I'm well, thank you. How are you? Other
I
than
I'm
having your gadgets, your corroding gadgets break on you.
I'm doing good. Doing good. So I told you guys last week about my brother passed away. We went down there Thursday. Well, I guess we got down there Wednesday. Funeral was on Thursday. I got back up here Friday night, and it was a great time. Like we wish we weren't gathered there to, you know, remember my brother, but it was a great time to be with one another, and had a good weekend. Was able to recuperate. Amy's not doing well. She got bronchitis somehow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So
Prayers
Sunday.
going out to Amy.
Yeah, thank you. Sunday, Amy stays home from church, and she's like, I'm just not feeling good. And then she calls me up on the way home. She's like, man, I'm not feeling good, but I don't want to pay for one of those doc in the box places, urgent care.
Yeah.
So she's like, I can save like $100 if I just go to a doctor tomorrow. I'm like, Amy, just go, please. Like, I don't want you getting even more sick. And then she found a phone. One of the places does a phone line, and
Right.
it was all of $50. So I'm like, yes, please, just call them up. And so they diagnosed her real quick. Persistent cough. They gave her the antibiotics treatment stuff, those Z packs and a little steroids. So she's thankfully she has it in her system, because today, like, it was definitely like growing yesterday, and today it is here, and she's feeling it.
Poor
Uh,
thing. I'm sorry she's not doing well.
Thanks. And Thomas, we do self pay, so that's why it's more expensive for us. We do a, what is it called? It's like a medical sharing plan sort of thing.
Oh, I've heard of those. Yeah.
And it's good because on anything that's been an actual emergency, so anything more than like $300, they come in, and people will hear about what we need, and they'll send us money to cover those needs. And months that we don't need any issues, which is 99% of them, we send money to other people who need it. So it's very like it's a lot cheaper than anything I could have, because I'm self-employed, so I don't get great medical packages. So it's definitely a better way of doing things, but everywhere we go, we have to be like, hey, we're self-pay people. So they always jack up the price on us because we don't get the. It's such a scam. Like the medical system in
Oh, it
America,
is.
such a scam. I love telling people like, hey, you came here for Babylon 5. Let me tell you about the history of medical health insurance in America. It's a scam. This is actually fascinating. You'll be like, there's no way this is going to be fascinating. It is. The way health insurance in America got started was back in World War II, where we had a welding issue. We had too many welding needs and not enough welders. And so companies were paying more and more money for qualified welders. And eventually the government stepped in and said, you know what? You're not allowed to pay above this rate for your welders. And I don't understand why they stepped in the first place, but they said, you know what? This is a salary cap. You're legally not allowed to pay more than this amount for welders. And so the company said, fine, we can't pay you more than this, but if you get sick, we will pay for your doctor visit. And from that practice spread out to the riveters, the assemblers, just all the different workers there. And all of a sudden, it was required, or not required, it was expected that your employer would cover your health care. And then, it keeps snowballing and snowballing. We get more administrative overhead. And soon the government steps in and said, hey, we're going to solve the problem we created by mandating health insurance. And so now we have these huge overheads because once the government gets involved, like no one cares what the price is anymore because the government's subsidizing it. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, hey, how's that for Babylon 5? Man, you never know what you're walking into when I am trying to get things set up behind the scenes.
That's why we like your streams, Matthew.
I'm so glad you do. And hey, everyone in the chat, I am so glad you are here. I saw LDG Free the Net is here. He was waiting from apparently 8 p.m. Glad that you were here early. Thomas Potts, Omni Castnet, how are you doing? Ifly FSX. I think I saw, there's Melphis Sky and Texas Analashuk. And okay, I gotta ask, I think I asked this before, but
Analashuk.
Analashuk. I get the Texas, great state, love it, highly endorse. Analashuk, is that a Babylon 5 character I've yet to meet or reference?
Well, it's a reference. Let's put it that way, and I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Okay. Yeah, I'll know what it means soon. Awesome. Hey,
yeah, probably in about maybe 6 months.
Yeah, we'll see at this
Something
rate.
like that.
Yeah, I understand the Texas part. There's some things that stick out to me in the next 4 years. We'll get there. So actually, I was rewatching last week's episode today because, like I said, I love talking about this and doing live reactions, but I miss stuff, obviously. And one of the things I noticed while rewatching this is how Night 2 only had one of his eyes in the simulation. And I thought that was a neat attention to detail. That he could focus on what was happening in the simulation, but he still was like paying half attention to the real world to know what was going on. Whereas opposed to Sinclair had both eyes.
Right.
And then I realized, we were talking about how it was kind of weird that even though he knew it was a simulation, it still worked on him to a certain degree. And I realized what was going on when I paid better attention is that when they brought in the different people from his life and had that person ask him a question, it lowered his defenses just enough to just think about it. And as soon as he thought about it, the machine made it such that Night 2 could see it. And so even though, I'm sorry if this buzzes everyone, I got a wire I got to take care of. It has gone completely crazy. Sorry about that. So even though he knew it was a simulation, just by thinking about it, they were able to read that memory center of his mind and do a representation of it. So I thought that was actually a really interesting attention to detail. And then I also thought it was interesting how Night 2 and those along with him fundamentally misunderstand Earth's position in all of this. Like he made a comment that the Mbari fleet saw Earth's defenses and said the cost would be too high. And so they said, when instead of doing that, we're gonna come in and we're gonna get someone on the inside to take him down from the inside. And Sinclair makes a point of saying, you know nothing. Like, it's not that they were scared. They could have steamrolled us. There's something else going on here.
Oh yeah, they were steamrolling.
Yeah. And that made me think, did you ever watch another Gene Roddenberry show, Earth Final Conflict?
I did, maybe through season 2. I kind of
Yeah,
lost interest after that.
they got weird when the two species combined, and I think that was a victim of a writer's strike, and new showrunners came in, and um, yeah, they unfortunately got the what was the TV show? Dylan Hunt, Kevin Sorbo, lead
Andromeda.
character, Andromeda, yes,
Andromeda. Yeah, same kind of thing happened to that show.
and Sliders, which we've talked about in the past.
Sliders, yeah.
But
Sliders.
in Earth Final Conflict, one of the initial plot points was that the alien race came to Earth specifically because humanity had something they needed. Uh, they weren't able to have children anymore, basically, and they saw humanity as their last hope to save their own species. So it was a very self-serving reason they were there in the end. I'm getting
Yes, Texas. I liked Andromeda as well through season 2. I watched part of season 3 and just kind of went downhill fast.
Oh yeah, yeah. Andromeda. I loved Andromeda. But I get the feeling maybe that's what's happening here in Babylon 5. That there is either something the Mbari saw in humanity that they need for their own self-survival, or the superior aliens that we haven't seen too much of yet, the ones who see us as ants. I could see it where they're the ones who intervened specifically because they need humanity for something, and so they were the ones who got the Mbari to step down. That was something I was kind of thinking about this past viewing. Just that I can't remember what exactly made me think of that, but there was a scene that happened, and I said, you know what, I could see this being this. It happens time to time in sci-fi shows where humanity has something that another alien race needs, and so they're kind of our protectors and benefactors, but it's totally self-serving. So I'm curious to see where this ends up in 3 to 4 years.
I can't wait to get there.
I know, and you're over there like, Matt, I can tell you, but I'm not going to tell you.
No, I'm not telling you. You have interesting theories, I'll say that much.
Lancer, I loved Andromeda too. I really enjoyed the Nietzschean first officer. He makes a comment early on about how if the entire universe were to be obliterated, the only things that would survive would be cockroaches and Captain Hunt trying to save the cockroaches.
That's probably true.
And that's one of the reasons, like the last season was so hard for me. When he took his son's DNA, spoilers, I guess, when he took his son's DNA to make himself the promised Messiah, it was just so out of character for him. And
I don't even remember that.
Oh yeah, it was such a weird thing. He turned on Dylan Hunt, which I didn't mind him turning on Dylan, like that could work, but the way he did it was so antithetical to who his character had been up to that point that it broke the show down, and it was rough.
Or even by the end of season 3, I had just completely lost interest.
Yeah,
It just did not hold my interest at all.
I know Kevin Sorbo got a bad rap for that too. A lot of people blamed him for what happened, and
It wasn't his fault, really.
it wasn't. He's been on the record so often, like, guys, I found out about this, and it was just my job to try and keep this from completely falling apart from that point on. It was the writers who came in who said, let's make this the Dylan Hunt show. And it became worse because it was no longer a montage, or not a montage show, a collaborative acting show. The way Star Trek used to be, where each episode would focus on a ensemble. Thank you. Yes, Texas ensemble show. It was no longer an ensemble show and more of a Captain Hunt show. And, you know, it doesn't matter if you do it in the past with Andromeda or if you do it right now with Star Trek Discovery, where it focuses so much on Burnham. A single character,
You just had to utter that
I know.
phrase, didn't you?
I did. I did.
I
I'm sorry. I'll try and give you a better warning next time. But,
Thank you.
and I very much don't like Strange New Worlds, but I understand why people do like that one more by virtue of the fact that it is more of an ensemble show.
It is, but it breaks
Oh,
continuity
horribly.
more.
Yeah, horribly breaks canon. But I at least can be like
Why I don't like
sympathetic
it.
toward them. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
saw Birdo Prey 5 in the chat a bit ago.
Yeah. He came in and it is an hour later for him, so he probably had to peace out. So this week, I hear this is an episode a lot of people have been looking forward to.
Yes, they've been shouting the title in chat a lot. All caps, exclamation points and all that.
It's Deathwalker.
Deathwalker!
And I had a prediction about it last week. I have forgotten what my prediction is completely. Um, I want to say it was something like Assassins. I usually
I'm
look it
trying to
up.
remember what. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't remember either, unfortunately. It's been an interesting week for me. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody in chat can inform us on what your prediction was. Now Thomas has a prediction for the episode too. He said Patrick Stewart's in it. I don't know if you
I
saw
would be
his.
surprised. I didn't see
He said
him.
he said great episode tonight. Shapeshifter bombs an Earth conference, and Patrick Stewart guest stars as a corrupt admiral trying to take over Earth Force.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I do look up the guest actors for each episode, and I don't remember seeing Sir Patrick Stewart on there. But I did see
Oh, he's
Lois Lane.
uncredited.
Oh,
He's
uncredited.
uncredited. Yes.
Okay, my mistake. So I do remember one guess I had, and it was more like an anti-guess, and that was I don't think that this is going to be like we had the race that, or maybe not race, but the group of aliens who took people's souls at the Soul Hunter episode.
The Soul Hunter. Yeah.
So I don't think this is going to be another race that like feeds on someone as they die. Or was that literally my guess? I wouldn't be at all surprised if that was literally my guess last week.
I do remember you saying that.
Yeah, I do too now. I say it out loud because I mentioned the Janeway episode where she was on the borderline of death, and
Yeah.
uh, so
Welcome,
maybe
John.
I don't know. Hey John, do you remember what my guess was last week? We're gonna get this thing going here. I should probably drop the link in the chat
Might be a good idea.
as we try and remember this, and I will pin this. Um, I'm sorry, it's completely blanking out on me about what my prediction was. Um, but let's just say I'm gonna spitball this, guys. I don't think it is. I don't think it's a race that focuses on death. We did that with Soul Hunter. Maybe it's someone who goes from dying person to dying person, the same way Janeway did, or the race that followed after Janeway. Maybe it's more of the Tuvok memory episode. Remember, there was a virus that would kill its host, but it would implant this false memory in them. We got to see Sulu on the Excelsior.
Oh, yeah. The Voyager episode.
Yes. So maybe it's something like that. We'll see.
I don't remember you saying that last week, but
I
maybe you
didn't.
did.
I just thought of it right now. That would be in that same vein of, um, something that exists on the edge of death. Oh, that was someone I mentioned. Bounty Hunter. Yes, I
Bounty hunter.
predicted it was going to be a bounty hunter. I get there eventually if I talk long enough. I only have so many thoughts in my head. They come around.
Thomas says your prediction was wrong, whatever
That's
it might
true.
be.
Because I didn't predict Sir Patrick Stewart, so it has to be wrong by default.
Hmm.
But I made a guess that this is going to be a episode about bounty hunters because when I thought Deathwalker, I don't know, bounty hunter, that seems like a futuristic, you know, way of, you know how they always say like, oh, they're not zombies, they're night walkers, or they're the Walking Dead, and we're like, just say what they are. Like, we know you're talking about zombies, just call them zombies. But you always have to have some fancy name for it. So I could see a fancy name for bounty hunter being a death walker. So we will see how wrong I am, because I get the feeling that it is not just I get the feeling it's not just bounty hunters. Like, maybe everyone would love a hunting episode if it was just the most amazing, but something tells me that the way everyone's excited about this episode specifically, it's going to be more than just a bounty hunter episode.
Now, Omni
Mel,
says that Boba Fett's in this as a cameo.
see, we'll see. And Memphis Sky saying, pretty sure the guest star isn't Lois Lane. It is. Like, I actually not making that one up. One of the guest stars is Sarah Douglas, who is known for playing Lois Lane in the Reeves, Christopher Reeves Superman movies. So I actually recognized her face on IMDb. Uh, she plays Ursa? Really?
No, Margot. What was her name? Margot.
Ursa? No, they're right. Sarah Douglas
Played,
plays Ursa in Superman 1
yeah,
and 2. Wow.
Kidder. Was it Margot
Wow.
Kidder?
She
Played Lois
has.
Lane.
Huh.
Now, did you notice
Huh.
another name in the guest stars?
Oh, you mean Savick? Yes, I know Savick.
Robin Curtis.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
Margot Kidder, Omni, played Lois Lane.
I can't believe how wrong I got the Superman. She looks just like Lois Lane to me. Huh. I wish I could show you this photo right now. I'm staring right at, and like, that is so Lois Lane's face to me. But if my wife is watching, she's like, yeah, Matt has face blindness. You shouldn't trust a single thing he says about any face he ever sees. So, with that embarrassing thing out of the way, let me go ahead. Look, we all know it's not going to be the only thing I get wrong tonight. Let me explain how this is done, everyone. I have put the link to the viewing room over in the chat. By all means, click on it if you're able to, and you can watch this live with us right now. If you want to pull this up on a TV or a phone or something like that, you can buy this on Amazon Prime. You can watch this on Tubi TV for free with ads. And of course, you can watch this on Google or Apple, the Apple Store. You can buy it that way.
iTunes.
iTunes, that's the word.
Yep, that's it.
Or my personal recommendation, just keep your eye open on Amazon and buy the Blu-rays there. They drop down in price to around $75. Seems every once in a while. And who knows, maybe you can find a used version that's in good condition. But I think it's well worth having the physical media because they can never take that away, you know? Unfortunately, all too often, these streaming services lose the rights to stream it. And then they're like, hey, when we said you bought it, we meant you mostly bought it. You bought it as long as we had the rights to it. But now that we don't have the rights, you can't, use what you purchased anymore. So, yeah.
I just want you to hit the play button.
I will. Oh, well, you gotta pause it. Just pause it. Like, it's here. Here's the play button. Here's the pause button. You should.
I
So
could turn on my webcam and you could see the station too. So,
yeah. So if you don't want to do that, you just have your one screen with you right now. We got you covered. Every about 7 seconds, a new image, just a still image, will be displayed down below. Just a little clip so you can have a reference for what we're talking about. Assuming I haven't been distracted by a squirrel and I'm talking about something random like, how healthcare got started in America. As long as that's not the thing, then we'll be talking and you have a reference for what we're doing. So, if you are watching this at home later and you want to sync up your copy to our live commentary, then let me go ahead and give you a quick 3 count and we'll get this going. So, 3, 2, 1, hit that play button. And yes, Thomas, since Josh Street isn't here, you're muted, Matthew.
and please let us know if you can hear the episode audio.
Oh, it's been a while since we've seen our resident psychic, Warkosh,
Telepath.
telepath. Oh, I hadn't even considered him being related to the Deathwalker stuff.
I love that. Hour of scampering.
Does she know what the hour of scampering is, or is that their colorful euphemism for something we humans do?
It's never explained really, but she figures it out.
Okay, we've seen her before. She's the replacement aide
Yeah, Natoth.
after his previous aide got thrown out an airlock somehow.
Yes.
That should be my sign off. We'll meet again at the hour of scampering.
Oh, we heard the
Oh,
phrase.
there we go. Oh, Deathwalker kind of looks like an elf. At least I think I saw some pointy ears. I love how the Embari in the background is just like, yeah, that's appropriate.
Sure got beat up.
Interesting. So we have had we've had the Embari hating the Soul Hunter, and now we've seen Jakar's people hating the Deathwalkers. Yeah, Thomas, I don't think she likes her.
Yeah, she's pretty brutal, isn't she, Omni?
So who was the Deathwalker right there? Was that Sarah Douglas,
Yes.
aka not Lois Lane?
Not Lois Lane.
Okay, is Ursa, was that Lex Luthor's girlfriend?
No, no, she was one of the Kryptonians with Sod.
Oh, okay, it's clicking. It takes a while, huh?
It's been a long time since I've seen Superman 2.
Yeah, okay.
If Lee says maybe that's just a casual greeting for them. Who are we to judge?
Wow, Ursa looks so different than the actress does. Like they really gave her some makeup that made her cheekbones look a lot higher than they do in reality, and they gave her a very very pixie haircut
So what's she doing on a Mimbari ship?
with Mimbari hair and clothes and
Oh, they know about Deathwalker.
She's gone very, very quiet on talking about her all of a sudden. She was very vocal earlier. Oh. Okay, so uh, this episode happens throughout Sci-Fi a lot. This is the Voyager had it with the holographic Cardassian. Deep Space Nine did it with the episode Duet, maybe.
Oh, good. You picked up on it. That's good.
I mean, they're
You
advertising
get
it.
yeah, you get the scientist that does the experiments on people, and then yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, this is the oh, what was that German's name? The doctor who experimented on on the Jewish people.
yeah, that was
Time something or other. Anyway, there was a very very famous German doctor. I don't like using the word doctor. What he did was not doctoring. Uh, this German butcher who
Mangala.
Menkela. Okay. Um, and Thomas is pointing out that there were many doctors in Germany that did that, which is so unfortunately true. But he did horrible experiments. How much can we burn? How much can we suffocate? What
Yeah.
happens if I do this grotesque thing to them? Uh, and then how can I prolong their lives? Not save them, just keep them alive. And and now there's a lot of moral questions about, do we use these medical procedures that he
Yep.
developed through his grotesque experiments, or is that dishonoring the memory of the people who we gained those memories? Or sorry, I was listening to that at the same time. Or is that dishonoring the memories of the people who suffered that? Oh, I missed Picard. I'm sorry, Thomas. I was too distracted. Hey, Josh. Yes, I was completely wrong about the episode. Absolutely.
Now, Kosh had another phrase there he used a minute ago. Understanding is a three-edged sword.
And
Crap, Nebula.
she
She's
doesn't
not
like
having a
the
good time.
she doesn't like the word uh crab nebula. Interesting. That seems like so he's dressed up like a huckster, right? I mean, he comes in here, he seems to know the ways to kind of cheat the system even with someone reading his mind. Uh but as soon as he says crab nebula, I get the impression that he might as well said like snake oil. Or I got a mine out in California I'm willing to sell that's chock full of gold. You know, something like that.
Well, she scanned him and she didn't sense any thoughts from him.
And hey, William, sorry YouTube unsubscribed you. So glad it's fixed. But Josh, yeah, I realized I was wrong in that Deathwalker is not a group of people, but a specific nickname for this lady.
And her name is Shadur.
And Dr. Franklin was just commenting that it seems that her physical appearance doesn't match what her age should be. But too old to be the Deathwalker's daughter, too young to be the Deathwalker herself. William was saying Sarah Douglas thought Lois Lane was one of Superman's pet in Superman 2. Yeah, you miss it, William. I definitely mistook Sarah Douglas for Lois Lane.
Hmm.
Yeah, LDG. I definitely noticed the duet similarities and the Voyager episode, which was really just Voyager's remake of Duet as well. I don't think the Next Generation had an episode like that, but I would say that that's kind of a common theme throughout sci-fi. The which is good. Like I talked about this before, but one of the standards of good sci-fi, in my opinion, is that it gets you thinking about complex issues in reality. And I would definitely say in the 90s, early 2000s, even, a major thing people were thinking about is with the medical advances we're getting, those advances that are based on what we, or not what we, but what they learned in Germany, is it morally acceptable to use those? And I definitely don't have a good answer for that.
So the Narn are interested in this woman too. That's what the person that was coming, the Narn that was coming, that she was going to meet. He, he was going to conduct negotiations with this woman.
But Natuth specifically has a blood oath against this woman
Yes, for
that
what she
she
did to her grandfather and her family.
and LDG saying he doesn't want to spoil the other reference to Duet, I believe. But Better Prey 5 brought it up today when we were discussing this episode. Oh, Natuth, isn't that how you pronounce her name?
Natoth
Natoth.
or Natoth.
Isn't that how you
I've
pronounce
heard
her
it
name?
both ways.
Nay.
Natoth is usually how you hear it. Natoth. So Earth Alliance
Oh,
is interested in her as well.
plot thickens. And this guy is Akai Elong, I think is how you pronounce his name. Probably completely
Okay.
wrong.
He's a senator.
He also played in an episode of 7 Days.
Okay.
There's an episode where there
That
was a
wouldn't surprise
former
me.
chrononaut before Frank Parker, and he was lost in Brazil, and this Brazilian shaman used his mysticism powers to send him back in time, and so he played that shaman. Hey, it's Slondo.
Slondo.
Man, everyone's interested in this Deathwalker girl. The Narn won her.
Earth Alliance wants
Netut
her.
wants her dead. Mondo
Natoth.
won something. Nitoth. Mytoth. I don't think it's Mytoth if Lee.
The Wind Swords.
I think that's the first time we've heard that reference.
We have that by name anyway. But she just said that They think that he has a hole in his mind.
Oh, okay.
So the assassin in the pilot episode was a windsong or windsword, excuse me, not windsong, windsword.
And she's saying that it's a universal anti-agape. Probably mispronouncing that one. But it's a anti-aging serum. And that's virtual immortality, no sickness, no growing old. And the secret is hers and hers alone. And she claims that she's going to bring it to all the worlds of this galaxy before the world is up. So there's our dilemma. Her her research has developed a immortality elixir, but it's based on her research.
So now we have the hour of longing.
So she's been scanning him all day, and his mind is just as empty as ever. And she seeks meaning, but he's not giving it to her.
Oh, he gave her a clue.
What did he say? The music is
Lis-
not the song.
Listen to the music, not the song.
And there's definitely something more to this guy than meets the eye. I mean, he can mess around with the telepath like that. And I think that this guy is Kasi Costa.
Yes. And originally they wrote it for Gilbert Gottfried, but he was unavailable.
Oh, oh, that would have been priceless. Yeah, the Narn seem to be the most passionate people. That's accurate.
Lanier, he's a great character. We haven't seen him much yet, but he becomes even more important as the series goes on.
And he's basically going over the history of healthcare right now. Same kind of vibes. And so Sinclair's asking about the wind swords, and uh, the guys explain that they are the most militant of all of his warrior castes. He's gonna he's gonna contact Dolores, but we're gonna keep this the most
Dolores.
most confidential possible. Oh, Jakar. But he's saying that we'll our or his government is prepared to give her anything she asks. He's so deeply sorry for what happened earlier. He's saying whatever the Earth Alliance has promised her, they'll triple it.
That's a tactic he repeats. They'll double or triple whatever is offered by another race. But he doesn't want to do what she just asked for.
She asked for who, Captain?
The head of Natoth.
So we're definitely not going to go for the sympathetic character in this episode.
No.
Wait, Omni Q reference? What Q reference? Or are you saying Texas was making a reference to Q? So now we're getting the moral arguments for both these sides, with Garibaldi taking the stance of, hardline absolutely should not use her research. Sinclair saying Palpatine, thank you for your donation. Saying, "Wow, that woman is evil." Yeah, if the Emperor's calling you out, you know you're evil. And yeah, Garibaldi, he's right. Sinclair is saying he's just following orders right now, but that's not really a defense. Like, yes, military people have to follow orders, but there's also a point where they get to not follow orders, and you're an independent thinking person. We're allowed to say no to immoral acts.
And Earth Alliance seems to be very immoral.
And Garibaldi, what was his ultimatum there as he walked off?
I missed it. I think he was just not very happy. There's,
I like the way
there's
we're going to see how the different uh, races are responding to her presence here. I mean,
I think this is the first time since the pilot that we get to see Babylon 5 operate like a United Nations.
yeah. I mean, technically,
We
we've only
really
really
haven't.
seen the Earth's response, and we've seen the Narn response. But I kind of feel like we're getting a third response from Sinclair himself. Like he's almost an independent category from Earth.
Well, it gets deeper.
And yeah, she's trying to claim moral equivalency to him because they both killed people, and he's not having it. Like, no, there's a major difference between self defense and relishing in the pain and being grotesque to other people.
LDG says the Narn is a much better version of the Bajoran. They really sell it.
Almost part Klingon. And she's enjoying the irony of the situation that those who cursed her are going to have to thank her for the rest of the time for anyone who actually uses her serum. Which, I mean, I highly doubt such a serum would be available to the masses.
Well, that's her intent, or at least so she says. Now, that's
So the
Robin
UN.
Curtis's character.
Okay. Have we seen her before?
No,
Hmm. I thought we saw her. Oh, maybe it was just someone in similar makeup.
it was a different actress.
But all the
As
other aliens have shown up and they said they demand a conference convening to discuss this woman's what's going to happen to her, and that if he doesn't, he's going to have to kill all of them because they're going to make it happen.
Well, this is taking a turn.
Yeah. LDG. So crimes against sentience. So they are prejudiced against non-sentient life. So our telepath is trying to get out of this contract for some reason. I, she doesn't like being around him, I guess. And I can't figure out if this guy is able to project his thoughts and overwhelm her, or if there's something about him that is triggering some sort of flashback.
Or is it Kosh?
Or is it Kosh? Kosh is continuing to not participate. Why even be here if you're not going to be here? But the Londo, so I shouldn't listen to rumor, huh? But um the commander, he's kind of hoping that he will be able to act in the way he wants to, even though he doesn't have the authority to do it directly himself. Like he's hoping everyone's going to vote in
He
a.
thinks he got it, has it all figured out. Who's going to vote which way?
But I mean, hey, Ivanova, she kind of put her finger on the nose here that justice for versus immortality, that's a hard sell for a lot of people. The Savick is making an impassioned plea about how the Dilgar, the race that the Deathwalker belongs to, fell upon their worlds, the unaligned worlds. And it is only through the help of the Earth forces that they're able to band together and drive them away. And they think that she needs to be tried for her crimes against sentience.
Yes, Ifley. Kosh has diarrhea. Spoiler.
So what's Londo? He's saying the Centauri weep for what she did to her world. However, but he's saying, look, she's never done anything against the Centauri Republic, so uh, they're they're going to oppose the trial. So, he's okay, so he's voting that yes, the trial happened, but only on the condition it happens on Narn. And they're saying the Narn have no right to try her. We're well aware of their involvement with her. And hey, Tokyo, how you doing today?
Hey, Tokyo. Well, the vote has gone the way he thinks so far.
Oh, I'd hate to be in his position. So then Bari, they say basically the same thing as Lando's race, the Centauri, that they have no right to judge her. She didn't do anything to her or to them. And so he's saying the vote is 3-2. How does that? Oh, because Kosh abstains, so he defaults to no.
Well, the league also gets a collective vote, and they voted yes. So that was the second yes.
So are they saying that the Narn count as a no because they're not going to acquiesce to their demands to meet on their
Yes,
planet? Okay.
that's correct.
So the
That's
no
correct.
was the Centauri, the Narn on technicality, and the Imbari.
Yep.
Okay.
Earth said yes, and the league said yes. And
Hey,
Forlon's
gorillas.
abstained.
My prediction was 100% off. Absolutely.
Welcome,
Completely.
Gorilla. I don't know what it is. His complexion is darker in this scene. Maybe
Hmm.
that was on purpose
So
because
was he?
Lanier usually isn't a dark character, and he had to do something that he didn't want to do.
Hmm. So was he just revealing that the Mbari had some connections to her?
They did. They did. Well, she was in a Minbari ship,
True.
and the Windswords, which is the most militant part of the Minbari warrior caste, they protected her, sheltered her for 30 years almost.
Hmm. Omni's saying that O'Hara was struggling with his mental illnesses. Oh, what did he have?
He was having delusions. He was having schizophrenia. This is
Oh.
Sinclair's the the actor that played him, Michael
Huh.
O'Hare.
That's intense.
Yeah, and I can see how it affected this season. The characters just don't mesh quite as well as they do later.
Hmm. Oh, okay. So now everyone's showing up to get this
Getting
lady.
intense.
Oh, literally everyone's showing up. Okay. Tokyo, it's party time at Babylon 5.
Yes.
And yeah, Ifly, that's a great question. Would you let Adolf go? Or uh,
Mangala.
Mingala? Yeah. And I mean, I could definitely see if. I mean, just imagine you had some random military base on like Midway, and they were able to get a hold of Mingale, and all of a sudden you have Japan coming in, and Poland's warship shows up, and uh, Israel has a submarine in the area somehow, and Australia's showing up. New Zealand's in on it for some reason. Like, And it's like, we're just this tiny little military base on Midway. What are we supposed to do?
Yes, Thomas, it's a UFO.
Good job, Ivanova. She got them to delay by having them arguing about which captain has the most rights to her.
And I wonder if that's the reference LDG is talking about. 'Cause I seem to remember something like that in Star Trek. Maybe I'm just imagining that.
Yeah, if LDG, if you're still around, whenever we get to the point where there is a another Trek reference, please let us know for when I inevitably miss it. And they're both speaking like truisms, and she's so tired of it. Okay, if you wear headphones during this scene, the way they're having the audio bounce back and forth between left and right stereo is crazy weird. Sorry, that's a very serious scene, but the way the character was just staring at her was priceless. Oh, okay. I got LDG. Um, a reference from DS9. He's the one with the transparent skull. I just don't want to date a man who I can see his brain. Yes. Okay, so I don't know if they're going to come out and say this more directly, but it seems to me as if this brain guy specifically got the telepath lady to feel certain emotions. What's that?
Talia.
Talia, specifically so he could record those emotions onto the crystal and give them to Kosh. Because when Kosh said, or when she asked what was on that crystal, he says reflections, um, something, and terror. The three emotions she felt during these kind of mental scenes she had.
Reflection, surprise, terror.
Yeah,
For the future.
for the future. Yes. Tokyo, I thought Kira made a comment about Dax was talking about someone, and she goes, "Is that the one with the transparent skull?"
Captain Baudet.
Captain Baudet, yes. And I want to say John recently did a montage of Captain Baudet quotes.
Well, there go the ships.
Oh, Tokyo is saying the Babylon 5 dude had no skull. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And look at her audacity. She is dressed up in full military garb, being proud of the medal she got for butchering people.
Oh, it glitched.
Apparently, I was disconnected from side 2 for a second, but I'm back. So hopefully, it doesn't jump around too bad for anyone.
It repeated like 20, 30 seconds.
highly decorated like Janeway. I don't think that's quite one to
Wow,
one.
John. Wow.
Hey, John, if I'm right, you did a Captain Baudet episode recently. If you want, go ahead and drop that in the chat. Oh yeah, yeah. She's laying it out here that, um,
There's a price for immortality.
and I think my clips just jumped really bad. I apologize for that. It's well ahead of where we are right now for some reason. I'll try and pause for a second. We'll do our best to catch up here. Uh, but yeah, she's saying that the billions of people that actually get it will murder and butcher everyone who can't get it, just be able to purchase it. So the people who
Well,
get it will be her legacy, and the people who die will be the continuation of her work. Now the Vorlons are here, and that takes care of that in theory.
I think you missed a bit of that, Matthew. So, in order for the serum to work, you need the essence of a living person, a living being.
Oh, oh, I did miss that. I also missed why Kosh did what he did.
He said we're not ready for immortality.
Hmm. Yeah, I glitched at the wrong moment. And so Sinclair's he's curious if this is how it's always going to be, the little people at the mercy of the big people. So she's trying to figure out what was going on with the business deal between Kosh and this other guy, and the whole time they spent talking in riddles. And she's talking about how she once had to read someone's mind, but it was like nothing she'd ever seen before. It was brutal. And today she felt those
She,
thoughts, but somehow they were deliberately forced on her. His his name was Albert and Costello.
well, this is the guy, the transparent or the brain
Yeah,
exposed guy. That's Abbott.
but he's saying that they're used to record it just about everything: sight, sound, senses. You were set up, but why with the Vorlons? Who knows? And Josh was
And
saying it
they're
takes
called,
about 10,000 lives to make one vial.
and Abbott is what's known as a vicar or VCR
Hmm. Yeah, I heard them
because
say
they
vicar,
record.
and I thought when they said vicar they meant like a Catholic vicar.
No,
I'm like, huh, okay, that's not what I was expecting, but all right.
they took a 90s reference, VCR, and made it into vicar, and it's a person that records the thoughts and feelings and all that of a person. So,
Toki is saying we gotta stop talking about Captain Baudet. I don't know. He was one of those characters from DS9 that I liked because you only ever like got him referenced. You never
yeah,
actually saw him do things. So there's people like Captain Baudet and Morn who would never shut up, but you never get to see him talk. And there's
apparently there was when it was there was one episode in the second season that was played. It was translated in German, and Morn actually had a line in it. I think it
Huh.
was German. Maybe it was another language. It's a European language.
I wonder if we can find a clip on that online. Everything's
I
online. Uh, but this episode, Deathwalker, I get why people like it. Um,
Well, it utilizes almost the entire cast. We really haven't had that. Mostly, we've had episodes where you've had three or four of the main characters interacting. It was about them, but this had almost all the characters doing something important.
yeah,
Delenn is an exception, but she wasn't in the episode. Fear wasn't in the episode either, but
Londo didn't get to do much, but he still had his funny line.
yeah. And
Don't believe
Ivanova
in
got to do
rumors.
something. Ivanova got to do something interesting. She got the captains of the non-aligned ships to fight amongst each other.
And then it was
Who?
just an excellent moral dilemma,
Yes, yes.
which I
Worthy
just
of good
oh,
Star
go-
Trek.
yeah, I cannot say enough about sci-fi episodes that tackle complex subjects and then don't really answer them. Because they you guys see Garibaldi's passionate speech about how it would be wrong to use this. You got to see the the neutral positions of, well, I want to do something, but I'm not in position to do something, so I hope someone else does something. To the Mbari, who we know it's wrong, but we're going to turn a blind eye because we kind of benefited from them. Um, the Narn, who are only willing to do what was right provided it benefited them. The Centauri, who said nice things but didn't actually act on those nice things. Like, like that is great sci-fi points. And we talked about this, I think only on Discord a long time ago, Jeff. But one of the things about the female doctor, Jodie Whittaker, her first season as a doctor, one of the things that made it really unwatchable to me was the fact that they overplayed their hand on important historical stuff, like the Rosa Parks episode.
Mm-hmm.
They had the bus
That was a
driver
big one.
be a raging racist,
Yeah.
and I hated it so much because if we actually have the bus driver's own words, like you can look them up on places like Wikipedia, or you can just Google it or something, and you find out this guy was just talking about how I was a bus driver. The law was blacks go to the back, and I was just following the law, and that is like the true horror of the time, was how everyday people were willing to turn a blind eye because, oh, that's just the law. No one would engage critically to think about how the law was unjust. And when you had the Doctor Who episode come out and be like, oh, well, no one was neutral. Everyone was a raging racist. I'm like, you are missing the horrifying truth of what racism brought to America.
Yeah. They oversimplified it.
And so I love seeing that very mindset brought up in sci-fi, because it shows how many people are willing to turn that blind eye as long as it's not directly affecting them. And that was, Londo's people's position. Like, oh, I'm so sympathetic to their plight. I can't believe the horrible things that happened to you. But you know what? We can't sit in judgment because we weren't directly affected. Like, that is primo
Well,
writing to me.
they also had another reason for not voting yes, and that is they had dealings with the Dilgar 30 years ago during those wars,
Mm,
and they didn't want to reveal what they were doing then.
yeah.
And it was going to come out.
And yeah, Texas. I agree. History is simultaneously better than we thought and worse than we ever imagined. Um, it,
That's
it's true.
profound.
And yeah, Ifley, I agree. The Doctor is beyond help at this point.
Well, until we get a new showrunner, the show always changes.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
part of
see.
the history of the show.
At least we have the classics to
Ev-
enjoy.
oh yeah, yeah. Been buying the Blu-ray sets of the classic series. I have half of it now.
Nice.
13 out of 26 seasons.
Oh,
And the new sets come out in a month, a little over a month.
oh cool. Ifley's saying, can we talk about how the Kosh voted? Yeah,
Well, yeah. He voted a little bit differently, didn't he?
he did. I thought it was interesting his stance of we're not ready for immortality. It's a true one.
But do the Vorlons know what immortality is like?
I wonder.
If we're not ready, are they or have they been?
Ooh. The cautious vote was just a beam of light.
Very powerful beam of light, Josh.
I was trying to think. I feel like there's been another sci-fi series where I've seen this kind of plot point brought up, where humanity was given maybe not immortality but ultimate power. I know there was the Q episode where Riker was given the power of the Q. I'm
Well, we have the depiction of the continuum itself in the Voyager episode, where it's just the road and it's a desert. And,
yeah.
nothing's happening. Nothing's happening.
We've all tried being the tumbleweed.
Yeah.
The movie Sphere, in the book Sphere for that matter, a Michael Crichton movie, it looked at that question. Humanity was given the power to basically materialize anything they thought, and only three people had the power and almost killed everyone on board this deep sea vessel. And they chose to forget that they ever got the power. And so by visualizing them all forgetting, they lost the power. But they had the same kind of concept that humanity's not ready for this sort of power. But I feel like there's a sci-fi show I'm missing where they literally got the same thing. But I mean,
uh,
it's a one of those common.
Thomas wants to know what we think of Jakar's vote.
It was interesting. Um,
He voted yes, and then he didn't get his way, so he voted no.
he did. I guess the interesting point to me about that was he made a, an argument with Natoth, Natoth,
Natoth, yeah.
to
You're getting
trust him,
closer.
Natoth, to trust him about how he would deal with the Deathwalker. And he seemed to strongly indicate that he was going to make sure she died.
Yes. And I believe him when he said that.
Yeah, I did too. But then I'm not sure if at the end he was making sure that she was set up to die by arranging his vote the way he did, or if he was going back on his promise to her and was just looking after um, the Narn's or the Narn interest angle.
Well, he definitely was looking out for the Narn's interest because he wanted the immortality for the Narns. That's why he wanted to take her to Narn for the
Right,
trial, so they could, you know, find out what the serum was and all that.
right. But I'm wondering if at the same time he knew that by voting no, it would put her in more danger. Like it's almost as if I'm not sure if he was really thinking that far ahead or if he dropped the ball or the writers dropped the plot point there because I kind of feel like that
Well,
fizzled out.
yeah, Natoth kind of dropped out of the episode too. We didn't see her much after like halfway through.
Yeah, I know. I'll have to when I rewatch it. I'll have to look for that. But it's kind of a weird thing that happened.
And Thomas says, and find her not guilty.
By the way, he
Yeah,
he voted.
if it's a Narn court, they could arrange a not guilty verdict, I suppose.
They could. And hey, Stein wins. How you doing today? Yeah, what must Limbari think about the loss of a ship to the Vorlons? Oh, yeah. How would that spark relations between the races?
And it's interesting if the Membari ship had gotten to Earth, the Earth Alliance probably would want to take it apart, learn some things, since they did so poorly against the Membari in the war.
Mm. William's saying it was a great Natoth episode to start with a hint of Kosh to come.
Hmm. Now, this is really the first time we've seen a lot of Kosh since the pilot, really.
Yeah.
We've seen little snippets here or there of him, but this first episode we've seen quite a bit of him.
Well, Jeff, do you have some final thoughts for the episode?
I thought it was a good episode. This episode gets a lot of praise from people, and I like it. Although I don't share in the enthusiasm that everybody seems to have for it, I don't like it quite as much. I'm not sure why. Rewatching it today, I watched it before our stream tonight, and I liked it better than I did in the past. And maybe it's because I read more about it. And I'm seeing the parallels with Germany and that sort of thing. But yeah, it was a good episode, and I'm looking forward to next week's because next week's is quite interesting from another angle.
Hmm. So yeah, I agree with your summary of the episode. I thought it was a great episode. I like seeing. I would have liked to see more of Natoth's plot line. Like if it was these races operating in the background, like they're pointing out in chat that the Mbari ship was a one man ship, and like I can't help but wonder if what was going on was everyone was setting up to get rid of a inconvenient individual. Takara was making sure she was in position to get killed. The Mbari only had a single person on board, so they didn't mind when their ship got blown up. The Kosh didn't want people to have immortality. Like, I just can't help but wonder if people were sweeping a lot of things under the rugs. And it would have been interesting to see that aspect, even if it was just kind of the final scene, these three people meeting, in the industrial sector of Babylon 5.
Well, she was a monster, so they definitely want to get rid of her, make her pay.
But beyond that, great episode. I love complex morality episodes, and I love the fact that they present the cases, and then they stop, and that's where they left it. Like they never answered the question. Yes, they presented her as a monster because she was, but they didn't
They leave it up. Yeah.
Yeah, they left it up to you,
to the audience. Sorry.
No, I agree that it was 100% like, hey, here's the case. Um, let's not let's not pretend things aren't reality. Like this is an evil woman. This is a vile woman. But the central question of does that mean we don't use her research is one they didn't answer. And I love that.
Very Star Trek like in that regard. At least good Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh,
Not shoving an agenda down your throat Star Trek. The good
Trek.
Star Trek where you get to see all the different angles and you get to decide for yourself. That's what Star Trek is. That's what this episode was.
And Josh is saying that the only one on the ship was the Deathwalker. Interesting. And Tex is saying, I think they genuinely wanted what she had, but they were just as happy to have her gone and all the dirty laundry. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So next week is an episode called Believers.
Believers. Do you believe, Matthew?
I do. But what are we believing in?
Well, we're going to have to wait and find out.
Oh, gosh. So, from the title, I could see this going a couple different ways. I could see this continuing the Earth Defense Force angle, where they are believers in a cause. And they are willing to do what it takes to support that cause. Which is certainly a stance we've seen a couple times so far in the series. So I could see them kind of following that path line. if I can tell you in advance you're wrong, yes.
But are you?
I could also see this being definitely a more religious episode. Like, see, if this was made today, and we were doing a religion episode, the religious people would be ignoring facts. They would be hypocrites, and the whole episode would just be constantly dumping on them how you can be so stupid for having religious beliefs. So that's making it hard for me to think in terms of how we would have handled this in the 90s. Because if it is an episode about religious belief in something, I think the central concept of the episode is going to be that their belief is in something false, but I don't think they'd be like really aggressive that they believe in something false. Like, I don't think they'd be painting them as idiots for believing in it the way we would today. So like I could see it being that they believe in these in the aliens that see us like ants and view them almost as gods or demigods or something, and are trying to create a religion around them. And I could see it being where they take the truth that they are much more powerful than us and they create a religion around it, but then they twist it such that they are trying to say we should do bad things in their name. That they're using it to justify improper actions. And I think that might be the focus on it. And I could even see them having a commentary where religion itself is not what's wrong. Religion is a wonderful thing. It teaches to be altruistic to people, treat others like yourself, love your brothers. And it's only people who corrupt religion that are bad. I could see that being a possible take of what religion would be portrayed in the 90s versus the way it's portrayed today. Thomas, flat earthers arrive on the station. Yeah, there we go. They say Babylon 5 is actually a flat disk and not a rod. And yeah, Texas, how Seth MacFarlane portrays religion. Yeah.
Tokyo, I don't think so. In fact, I'll say no.
And let's see if I can find the Star Trek actor in the next episode. So I probably will. Okay, so here's the thing. If you said point out Saavik when she appears on screen, I would fail 100% of the time. But what I do is I pull it up on IMDb, and usually I can recognize the character's face-ish Like I can go, hey, I think I've seen this face before. I don't know where I've seen them, but like as long as you're not covered in prosthetics, I can usually be like, I know this face is from something, but I can't place where I know it from. But oftentimes, as in Sarah Douglas's case, I recognized it from Superman, but I got it wrong on who she was.
Character.
So that's just the way I see things. It's weird. I know it.
Well,
So
it
we'll
was
see.
funny. Robin Curtis's character, I could tell it was Robin Curtis just the way she was acting. It looked like she had the mannerisms of boy, the name just flew out of my head.
Savick.
Savick, thank you.
Well, that was fun, everyone. I do thank you for hanging out with us. I am ending it just a little bit sooner than usual because I actually have to be up and at work by 7 tomorrow, so I gotta go turn in for the night. But I'm so glad everyone was here. Thanks for hanging out for us, and we'll see you guys next week at the hour of scurrying. Is that what they said? The hour of struggling. The hour of, it was something with an S. The hour of
you're going to get a scampering.
Scampering. Oh, I was so close to the scurrying. So we'll see you next week at the hour of scampering, which is of course 9:30.
Or is that the hour of longing?
Ooh, is it the hour of who knows? It's the hour. Take care, everyone.
The hour of Matthew struggling to remember names.
Yes, the hour of me.
Or Jeff, for that matter. I forgot Savick.
All right, y'all take care.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will. And be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of all the updates I do on this channel. If you want to support the work I'm doing here, then I hope you'll consider becoming one of my Patreons, where you'll get early access to all kinds of videos. And until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.